and welcome to A God Shift with Shayna Rattler. I am a minister and a life coach who helps individuals partner with God to embrace disruption and confidently enter into the next chapter of their life. A God shift is the moment a disruption in your life collides with God's purpose and moves you into a greater destiny. God uses these unexpected circumstances to get our attention and invite us into the life that He has planned for us. It is important that we discover what it is that He wants us to see, what it is that He wants us to learn, and where it is that He needs us next. So today we're going to be talking about overcoming challenges in determining God's will for your life. And it's important that you think about what are the steps that you need to take when you're trying to determine God's will for your life. Here's 5 things that you should take into consideration. Number 1, God is not prohibitive. It tells us in His Word that He wants us to have life and He wants us to have it more abundantly. So what that means for you is take the limits off. Don't tell yourself that there is something that you can't have, that there is something that you can't do, or there is something that you can't be, because God wants you to be able to have it all. Number 2, God is concerned even about the little things. So yes, you don't just have to go to Him when you're trying to figure out what His will for your life is for the big things. You can even go to Him with the little things in terms of, God, should I go this way today? Should I really answer this phone now that it's ringing and I see that there's somebody on the other end that is probably going to throw my energy off? So yes, He's concerned even about the little things. Now here's some good news. When you're thinking about God's will for your life, if your goals and your vision are intersected with opportunity, that means that God is probably pushing to make it happen. Number 4, ask what it is that you are being called to be in the earth versus what it is that you should be doing. I don't think that it's any mistake that we're called human beings and not human doings. So if you focus on the areas of your life that you need to become a higher version of yourself, the doing takes care of itself, and then you place yourself in a better position to actually know what it is that you are supposed to do. And then number 5, it should scare you. So when you know that you are in God's will for your life, you should be asking questions. You should be asking, Lord, am I really ready for this? Am I qualified for that? Because here's what I think. I think that only the world should be playing small. If we are a believer of Christ, I believe that we should be playing big, and we should actually be scared of the goals that it is that He is giving us. Get lost in the pages of our latest book and discover the destiny you were created for. Another dimension of possibility awaits you, but a God shift is required to reveal it and access it. In A God Shift, a divine move from disruption to destiny, Shayna Rattler takes you on the journey of how she turned a once highly successful business that failed fast and left her questioning where God was taking her next into a thriving ministry and fulfilling life that affords her the opportunity to help others grow their faith and successfully navigate the seasons of life. This inspirational guide outlines the steps to confidently put your God shift in motion. Your next chapter is waiting. Are you ready to shift? Grab your copy at agodshiftbook.com. Are you looking for ways to support the God Shift movement and others in need? Grab one of our premium tees at agodshift.com/shop, and we will donate 20% of the sales to the National Christian Foundation. These t-shirts are made of 100% premium soft cotton, come in white women's fit and black traditional fit, and are available in sizes extra small through 4X. It's time to embrace disruption, collide with God's purpose, and confidently shift into the next chapter of your life. Share your shift with the world by proudly wearing a God Shift t-shirt. Grab one for yourself and those you love at agodshift.com/shop. Welcome back. My guest today has an amazing story to tell about determining God's will for your life. Welcome to the show, Josh Kelly.
Hello.
Hey Josh, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for being here. So let's get into your God shift moment. So, what circumstances did God use to get your attention?
Well, to try and tell the story, hopefully a little bit briefly. I've been pastoring for a while, and God called me to be the lead pastor at this small church. And this church was one of those like amazing communities where everyone knew each other. Our friends were best friends, and it was such a great thing, and we were loving what was going on. But then things started to not be great. Things started to crumble a little bit. One of the other elders, who happened to be my best friend, kind of made some very ungodly choices. We had to remove him from the eldership, and uh, we had someone try to come in and take over the church. And just bit by bit, things kind of broke down, and we got to the place where we realized we had to close our church down. This community, this family that we love so much, and that was awful. It really stunk. And after that, right around that same time, I published my book Radically Normal. And so I thought God was going to do this amazing God shift then, where I'd go from being a pastor to being an author. But instead, nothing really happened. My family and I took a break. We sold our house, drove around the country for 8 months, and that ended up being a sabbatical that I really needed. That knot that had been in my stomach for the past 7 years finally dissipated about 6 months into this trip. So I came back from that trip and just was not feeling called to be a pastor anymore. And you don't want to be a pastor without a calling. You can be a lots of jobs you can do just to earn money. Being pastor isn't one of them. So instead, of all the things, I became a bartender, and I it was a fun job. I got to interact with people, a lot less stress than being a pastor, and I continued to write. I worked on a novel, and I had just gotten this novel finished. I was trying to find someone to publish it, since I've been able to publish my previous book. And then COVID-19 happened. My wife and I are coming home from a little getaway, and we hear on the news that Washington State is closing all the bars and restaurants and everything, and I'm without a job. And that really launched me into a very difficult time of just feeling purposeless. My novel was done. I was just trying to figure out what to do, and I just, for fun, I did a little ghostwriting on a single chapter for someone, and in that I realized I can do this. I can actually ghostwrite really well. I can mimic other people's voices. And then from there, God just did like amazing things, where I talked to a friend of mine, and he needed someone, and just did all these things lined up. And like 2 3 months after that, I find myself having received like the biggest check I'd ever received for a job to ghostwrite someone's book. And I'm just stunned. Just, God, this is a season of harvest after so much work, after all this time of hardships. And so that really was an amazing thing, where I went from hardship and always struggling, feeling like you're running in sand, to right now I'm at a place where it's starting to pay off.
Absolutely. This reminds me in the word, I believe it's in Isaiah, where it says that his ways are higher than our ways and that his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, because you knew without a shadow of a doubt that he was calling you to be a pastor. And so when you knew that season had expired, in your mind, you had these plans to be this amazing author, but for yourself. And it just goes to show that God had plans for you in the area of writing and in the area of being, an author, but just not in the way that it is that we think that it would have happened. So, real quickly, Josh, just tell me, like, why did this have to happen in order to get you to where you are today?
In short, I think if I would have known what God was going to do, I would have messed it up. I couldn't have planned these events the way they happened, and I wouldn't have been ready. I think, in short, that's it. I wouldn't have been ready any other way, except for the way that He did it.
Absolutely. And the way that we're talking about this right now really sounds like it was a smooth transition. But when we come back from break, we're actually going to get into some of the challenges that Josh is experiencing as a result of his God shift. So we'll be right back. Ready for a God shift, God shift. Get lost in the pages of our latest book and discover the destiny you were created for. Another dimension of possibility awaits you, but a God shift is required to reveal it and access it. In a God shift, a divine move from disruption to destiny, Shayna Rattler takes you on the journey of how she turned a once highly successful business that failed fast and left her questioning where God was taking her next into a thriving ministry and fulfilling life that affords her the opportunity to help others grow their faith and successfully navigate the seasons of life. This inspirational guide outlines the steps to confidently put your God shift in motion. Your next chapter is waiting. Are you ready to shift? Grab your copy at agodshiftbook.com.
Prisoner of Hope introduces The Vault, a membership community offering a library of videos designed to prepare and support you.
Many others, including myself, have gone through the long battle with the American justice system and have come out on the other side.
The Vault was created by families impacted by incarceration, along with experts. We know how to help because we've experienced it firsthand.
Remember, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
It's time to unlock your freedom in The Vault. Sign up now at prisonerofhopetv.com.
But it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift, calling you higher, calling for greater. It's time to move. Your next chapter is waiting now. It may be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift, ready for a God shift.
Welcome back. Before the break, our guest was sharing with us how God's plans and his plans for his professional life were definitely not on the same page. So Josh, again, we talked about, this sounds like a seamless transition, but what was the biggest challenge that you were facing during this time?
Externally, the biggest challenge is nothing seemed to work. Everything that I wanted to happen just didn't happen the way that it did. Like with my first book, I managed to get a traditional publisher to take it on without even having an agent, which in that like never happens. And so, because that went so smoothly, I thought everything else would go smoothly. So externally, things just weren't working the way I thought they would, because I thought God was going to do all this amazing stuff. Internally, and I think this is why God put up the external barriers, is there's stuff that had to happen in me. And that is, I didn't realize how much my identity was based on doing stuff, on accomplishing things. I discovered late in life that I pretty significantly ADHD. And with that really comes these feelings of never being able to accomplish what I should be able to accomplish. Always feeling like I'm just a little bit of a failure, no matter how well I do. Like I had a book published, but I still felt like, well, it didn't sell that many copies, so I'm kind of a failure. And through that time, especially that first day after the restaurants were shut down, that was the first day in my life where I was out of work. I actually couldn't go work. I'd had vacation days and all this, but actually I couldn't work. And it was a very, very dark day for me. And through that whole time, I think God was really working on me to change my perception and to understand what I'd always preached. And that is that my identity is being a child of God, not in what I do. But it's much easier to say that to other people than to believe it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I really find interesting about this is that, when we're talking about, leaning in and accepting what it is that God is doing for us, a lot of people probably assume that it's easier for the pastor. A lot of people probably assume that the pastor doesn't have the same challenges. So when you're really looking at this God shift, how would you say that it affected either your faith or your relationship with God?
I think the biggest thing is just learning to trust his plan more. I like to talk about each of us having a story of grace, that God is working us in each of us unique ways with all these weird twists and turns, and you couldn't have planned it out, and the trick is to trust that God is actually doing that in your own life. It's easier to try and tell him what to do than to just trust it. And so I think there's now happened enough times where I've seen, I wanted A, B happened, but looking back, I see that B was actually the much better option. I'm slowly getting better at trusting God in that story of grace. I wouldn't say we'll just say slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, his ways are not our ways. His plans are not our plans. And I really love the fact that you said what I had to recognize was that I had to let go of what it was that I wanted. And I say all the time, and I'll say this to the audience as well, is that when you are shifting from one place to another, the most important part of shifting and also the most difficult part of shifting is letting go. Letting go of what we had in mind and who we had it in mind to include. So that's absolutely, I can relate to that in my own life. So when we come back from the break, we are actually going to learn what Josh's life looks like now on the other side of his God shift. We'll be right back.
Ready for a God shift, God shift.
Hey guys, I am so excited to share something really cool with you. There's an organization called Black Christian Influencers that has some amazing people. Some that you may know, some that you may not, but they all are doing some amazing work in the kingdom. So if you can, go on over to the page at Black Christian Influencers, or you can visit the website at www.blackchristianinfluencers.com.
Are you looking for ways to support the God Shift movement and others in need? Grab one of our premium tees at agodshift.com/shop and we will donate 20% of the sales to the National Christian Foundation. These t-shirts are made of 100% premium soft cotton, come in white women's fit and black traditional fit, and are available in sizes extra small through 4X. It's time to embrace disruption, collide with God's purpose, and confidently shift into the next chapter of your life. Share your shift with the world by proudly wearing a God Shift t-shirt. Grab one for yourself and those you love at agodshift.com/shop.
But it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift, calling you higher, calling for greater. It's time to move. Your next chapter is waiting now. It may be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift, Ready for a God shift,
Welcome back. Let's find out who Josh Kelly is now on the other side of this God shift. So Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you learned and who you are today?
I think, largely I'm still the same person, just hopefully a little less frantic. But I'm in this wonderful season where of harvest, where God is all these things that God's worked into me are starting to pay off. I mean, God is always good, and He's always doing good stuff, but just sometimes that good stuff is more fun than others. And so I by God's grace, I'm in a place where it's a lot more fun. It's really exciting. I'm learning how to become a better writer. I'm learning how to write on behalf of other people. And what that means is that I can take, when there's people who have these amazing messages, but haven't spent 15 years studying writing like I have, I can partner with them and help them get their message out. And it's just an amazing honor that some of the clients I've had, I'm getting these stories out and being able to help them write. And I have a job I'm really enjoying. And it's using these talents that I thought I had, and I'm being told, wow, you're really good at this. And after years of not feeling that, it's actually really cool. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
So you're relieved on the other side of your God shift? Is that what you're saying, Josh?
One more time.
I said, so you're relieved on the other side of your God shift? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, I am relieved. It's fun, it's exciting. And I know that when the next chapter happens, if there's some more difficult chapters, there will be, because there always are. I know that God's going to carry me through that as well and give me the grace for that when it comes. But I'm enjoying this season a lot.
Absolutely. So as we begin to wrap up, Josh, if there is someone that is listening to this show and they are experiencing a similar situation, what advice would you give them?
Trust God in the process. I mean, the number one question is, first, we have to establish this foundation that you genuinely are seeking God's will. My prayer every day for the last, I don't know how many years, has been, God, make me into the man you want me to become. It's a very open-ended prayer, but I keep on praying it. If that's your general basis, is I want to obey God, then he's going to answer that prayer. Just trust him in the process. Sometimes it may take a long time. Sometimes it may go quick. There's great seasons. There's hard seasons. There's, all just, but trust him in the process that he doesn't waste a thing. God's amazingly, he's a great recycler of experiences.
Yeah. It's just amazing how the Holy Spirit operates. Because when I tell you that about 5 seconds before you just said that, the Lord told me to tell you that nothing will be wasted. And that you're not going into an or season, that you're actually going into an and season. So everything that he put in you to qualify you to be a pastor, and everything that he put in you to be an author, that it's all actually going to come to a full fruition and a full head in this next season of your life. So just remember that the Lord wants you to know that nothing will be wasted. So Josh, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And I'll take that word. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and, God's blessings on you.
Thank you, Josh. Bye-bye.
Ready for a God shift, God shift.
Get lost in the pages of our latest book and discover the destiny you were created for. Another dimension of possibility awaits you, but a God shift is required to reveal it and access it. In A God Shift, a divine move from disruption to destiny, Shayna Rattler takes you on the journey of how she turned a once highly successful business that failed fast and left her questioning where God was taking her next into a thriving ministry and fulfilling life that affords her the opportunity to help others grow their faith and successfully navigate the seasons of life. This inspirational guide outlines the steps to confidently put your God shift in motion. Your next chapter is waiting. Are you ready to shift? Grab your copy at agodshiftbook.com. Are you looking for ways to support the God Shift movement and others in need? Grab one of our premium tees at agodshift.com/shop, and we will donate 20% of the sales to the National Christian Foundation. These t-shirts are made of 100% premium soft cotton, come in white women's fit and black traditional fit, and are available in sizes extra small through 4X. It's time to embrace disruption, collide with God's purpose, and confidently shift into the next chapter of your life. Share your shift with the world by proudly wearing a God Shift t-shirt. Grab one for yourself and those you love at agodshift.com/shop.
Get ready for a God shift, God shift.
On today's show, our guest Josh shared with us how God's will took him from one career of being a pastor into the career that it is that God needs him in next. Now, your life, it may be full of delays and detours and disappointments that might have you questioning whether or not you are on the right path. So here's what I know. If you get in his presence, stay in prayer, and ask God to show you the desires for his life, he will actually give you those desires and show you what to do next. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and I look forward to seeing you right back here next week. Bye-bye.